Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ken Poisson, 6th District Councilman and Council Chairman Pro Tem, sitting in for Jim Connor tonight, who is out traveling. I am going to call the Town Council meeting of September 10th, 2018 to order at 8:01 p.m. First on the agenda is the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Mr. O'Brien.
Tonight, we wish a Happy New Year to everyone who celebrates Rosh Hashanah. And with that, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There are no ceremonial presentations or awards tonight for item 2. Item 3 is communications, bills, petitions, and remonstrances. We have 2 letters of resignation.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, I skipped number 1. My apologies. The first item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from our regularly scheduled meeting of August 13th, 2018.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from August 13th, 2018.
Motion by Mr. Pia. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second. I don't know who said it first. Second by Councilwoman Dancho. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. Down to number 4. Mayor's report, committee reports, and town attorney's report. 4.1 is the mayor's report. Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Council Chair. As many of you know, on August 29th, we had a significant condominium fire on 685 Success Avenue. The Stratford and Bridgeport Fire Companies extinguished the fire. Public safety did an admirable job. Police and EMS tended to those affected. No one was seriously injured. And I'd like to thank all of our public safety personnel who did such a great job on the scene. All the residents were displaced. Red Cross set up scene and transferred intake at Birdseye Complex. Larry Ciccarelli and Andrea Bosman were present at the time, and the victims were given monetary support to help them temporarily. Sue Monroe and Phyllis Esposito made the community aware of the difficult straits of the victims, and through the facilitation of Sterling House, Stratford Community Services, the Health Department, and the Police Department, Stratford rallied behind these families. Tammy Trojanowski, Joe McNeil added to Larry and Andrea's coordination efforts, working with Amanda Meeson at Sterling House to acquire, sort, and store clothing, provide food and toiletries from the food pantry. Sterling House is acting as the fiduciary for those who wish to donate to the fire victims. Many people and businesses have donated funds to aid the fire victims. The Beach House Grills hosted a celebrity bartender event, and thanks to those donations, we raised more than $4,000. Some of the significant donations, other than the Rotary Club that was published in the newspaper, was the Mayor's Charity Golf Tournament, which paid for not only the temporary housing for 6 families, but an additional over $1,000. The Masons from the Scottish Rite donated another $1,000. There are many businesses that donated contributions. Lozano's Four Seasons, and these are just off the top of my head, was $500. Beach House Grill was close to $600. And then the contributions and generosity of so many people who donated through Sterling House on Facebook. We can't say enough about all the great things that everyone is doing to help those in need. Sterling House converted the donations received to date. At that time, it was about $4,000, and the money was distributed to the victims last Thursday and Friday. I'd like to recognize the efforts of Larry Ciccarelli, Andrea Bosvin, Joe McNeil, Tammy Trojanowski, Amanda Meeson, and their staffs who performed above the call duty and to ensure that these displaced residents received food, shelter, clothing, special services to help them in their time of need. Some other events that we had going on in August, we had the Mayor's Reading Championship, and that was the 22nd on Wednesday. It was hosted through the library. It was a great event. We all got to celebrate with ice cream after. This year, there were 178 students that participated, grades K through 7, and the champions read over 2,483 books this summer. The Shore to the Poor, hosted by Two Roads, was August 25th. Downtown Market in Stratford Center was August 26th. I think we had 60-plus vendors, 4 or 5 food vendors, and it was a great success. I was very thankful to the Economic Development Commission. It was chaired by Neil Sherman. I spoke at the Public Schools Convocation on Monday, August 27th. We had a back-to-school kindness event at Paradise Green on August 29th. It was a fabulous K-9 event from Stratford PD that was hosted by Riverview Bistro on September 1st. And the Sterling House Down and Dirty was Saturday at Short Beach Park. And yesterday was the Connecticut Air and Space Corsair Car Show. And it was a lot of people in attendance. And I'd like to remind everyone that tomorrow the VFW is hosting a commemoration ceremony at 7 o'clock at the VFW. A couple of retirements that we have from Town Hall. Mike Bonner, our purchasing agent, and Chitsame Lamb have retired. So our poor Jay is a little understaffed over there, but he's weathering it pretty well. And then we have a few staff changes I wanted to make you aware of. Susan Barksdale was promoted to Assistant Human Resources Director. Renee Serra is promoted to the Deputy Public Works Director. Amy Knorr is promoted to Superintendent of Recreation. Larry Ciccarelli is serving as Public Safety and Emergency Management Director at the end of September. John Gottfried has stepped down from that position. Ron Ng, Director of Human Resources and Risk Management. Mike Downs is now going to take over for Ron, not only as Chief of Staff, but as Information and Technology Director. Shirley Dominguez is the Senior Services Coordinator. Aaron McLaughlin is now full-time with us as the PAL, Police Activities League Coordinator. Steve Johnson was hired as Dispatch Supervisor. Karen Sportini is hired as the Economic and Community Development Coordinator. Michelle Pastor is now promoted to Assistant Tax Collector. Donna Aladhowski is the Assistant Tax Assessor, and we are very fortunate to, thanks to the generosity of the council, hire 5 new paramedics for our EMS program. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Item 4.2 is questions for the mayor. Does anybody have any questions for the mayor? Well,
Through the chair, good to see everybody. This is really my constituents. They come and they ask questions, and a lot of things are pretty much answered because you and I speak behind the scenes. I don't like doing this thing, but I will say that some people are concerned about the bus routes changing, and like now it's raining today, raining all day. So now if you have to walk from where I live, Larkin Court, all the way up to Stratford High, by the time you get to school, you're soaking wet. So how could you do any schooling at that level, because of that? So that was really a big concern. You're saying with the snow, having to travel from that far distance. And I understand sometimes there's surplus money, and I really believe that, just from what I've been looking at, is possible, I believe, to add routes to help that situation. Quite naturally, the Board of Ed will have to chime in and say what they have, but according to what they give us as a breakdown, there should be something there, because I think they got some money in reserve for other things. The teachers also have Turk furlough days to try to help out, to stay on with the staff. So that was a big concern. I mean, not just at my house, I was just shopping, and the lady grabbed me for like 20 minutes talking about it. I said, all right, I'm aware of it, and I said, I'll do my best to speak on it. I said, but I said, the council looks at the budget and approves it or not, but is allocated and controlled by the superintendent. So we don't get that deep. And she was telling me how she get on the phone, further up. As soon as she calls and all these different things, there's so much. I couldn't even shop that day, but it's okay. I'm all right with that. But that's a big concern. So I pray that Board of Ed does listen to a lot of people that come in and speak, and they write little notes to give, and she said sometimes they don't even read the note the way she wrote it, and there's a lot of things that's happening prior to you being here, quite naturally, that's happening and ongoing. And so that was a concern, so I just wanted to address that, bring that up, and let you know about it. A lot of other things that we're speaking about, for example, someone keeps asking me about the splash park. well, you and I know what we're doing. We're on track with that. We're getting the land taken care of to make sure there's a safe place to put it. We don't want to just put a splash park, then we got to tear it all down because the land wasn't checked. So we're on pace with that, to my knowledge. And, but some people on the outside don't know. So I just wanted to share that. And then another question was about the $50,000 put aside. I mean, because you've been here longer than me, you know that it's been a long-going journey with the splash park. First was a pool, compromised down to a splash park, and the voting of the 50,000. There's been hundreds of thousands for years put aside for this, and until now, and I'm really thankful that you're in your seat, something is being done because they're checking the land and they're moving forward. There's already electrical down there. Running the water shouldn't be that hard, but once again, the safety factor is the most important thing. Is it the right place to put it? I've always wanted the splash park, no doubt about it. The $50,000, everybody wonders, why you didn't vote for $50,000? Because there's always a situation with the money, had not happened before you got there. There's been money sitting there, reallocated over and over again. If you're gonna do it, don't do it. That's a choice. But I know that you're supportive of it, and I know I'm supportive of it. And you started, like we talked a little bit, there's so much history with the pool, splash park situation that you've been a part of before I even got here. So, and a lot of people don't know that, and you should get credit for that, because you do care. A lot of people don't know. So I just wanted to bring light to that. And a lot of other things I'm not going to speak about, because you and I already spoke about these things, and we'll just keep working behind the scenes. And I thank you for your service, and I love you. Thank you.
Thank you, Wally. Is there any other questions for the mayor?
Just a quick comment concerning the Success Avenue fire. I have to commend the mayor for your efforts in leading the relief efforts, especially on a Sunday of Labor Day weekend, taking 3 hours away from your neighborhood block party to go to Sterling House and meet with the residents and help them get food from our food pantry. So thank you.
If I may, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Councilman O'Brien was one of the guests that we had at the block party, so I had to leave him for 3 hours to.
Any other questions for the mayor?
Aside from the fire, it was a very positive month for the town of Stratford. Thank you for that report and for helping all of us organize those kind of affirmation positive activities. I'd ask if a list of the personnel changes, is that something that could be shared with us? Sure. And my question is, can you highlight some economic development activities that have occurred over the last 30 or 60 days? Not just Center School, but there might be other potential investors in town. Just some news on that front.
So we have several significant infrastructure projects of which you are well aware, and happy to report that the town engineer is here, so if you want more detail, he can talk about this. But I remember when Tim Bishop was the town attorney, he said, if the town builds the infrastructure projects, the development will come. So of those projects, we are looking for DOT to approve several that are in the works and moving forward. Route 110 is out for design as soon as DOT approves it, which will allow us to make some significant changes at Sikorsky, which will add to the assessment value, which will add to the tax rolls. So that's one project that off the top of my head that I can think of. As you know, we are continuing to work with the EPA on Ferry Boulevard, East Broadway. You mentioned Center School. The Complete Streets grant has been approved, and we are starting to work on the feasibilities of that. The Economic Development Director and I every week work on the Stratford Army Engine Plant. We had a meeting last week with the Army Corps of Engineers, and in between with Connecticut Deep for the remediation of the tidal flats, which, if you will remember, a year ago was targeted for May of 2019 to have the record of decision and then award the contract. And it's someplace in between December and February. So I think we're moving forward on those fronts. We have several investors that are investing in Stratford, 2 restaurateurs that I'm not sure the permit is through yet, through the process. So I'm going to refrain to tell you who exactly they are, but they are located in Paradise Green, and one is located in Oronoque Plaza. It was just on the tip of my tongue and I forgot it, Counselor, so I apologize.
Thank you for the overview.
But there was something significant, and I wish I could bring it to my attention. I will remember and say before the end of the meeting. How's that? Okay.
Okay, item 4.3 is committee reports. 4.3.1 is ordinance committee.
Mr. Chairman, on 4.3.1, I move that it be resolved that the second reading of the ordinance to amend Chapter 5, Article 6, Booth Park Commission be dispensed with, as copies thereof have been received by all council members, and that the same be adopted as a second reading, and the foregoing be and is hereby approved, effective 30 days from passage.
Hey, is there a motion? Is there a second? Second by Mr. Harden. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 9-0.
Mr. Chairman, on 4.3.1, Item 2, I move that it be resolved at the second reading of the amendment to Section 152-27 regarding dogs and other pets prohibited in park exceptions be dispensed with, as copies thereof have been received by all council members, and that the same be adopted as a second reading, and the foregoing be and is hereby approved, effective 30 days from passage.
Okay, thank you for the motion. Is there a second? Second by Mr. O'Brien. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries 9-0. Item 4.3.2 is Planning Commission.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve item 4.3.2. Be resolved that the favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission is accepted, and the foregoing item as stipulated be and is hereby approved.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Perillo. Is there any discussion? Mr. Khan.
Thank you, Chair. By approving this, are we, in a sense, I guess we're approving that Sydney Street be abandoned per these items 1 through 5, that action actually occur? That there's a recommendation, and by approving the recommendation, we're approving that this is in effect.
I'd ask Attorney Plum to address that.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. Could you just repeat your question for me, please?
The consequences of our approval is that we are enacting this change in zoning. Are we enacting this change in zoning by approving this recommendation?
Well, I'm not sure I would necessarily classify as a change in zoning, but the abandonment, yes, correct. Assuming that the conditions here are satisfied, that's correct, yes. I would point out that there's already been a portion of Sydney Street that's already been abandoned. This is just the remaining portion. It's about a 0.2 acre portion of the street adjacent to East Main Street.
Any other discussion?
Through the chair.
Mr. Kadim.
Yeah, so just trying to get my bearing. So
Of course.
I know where East Broad is. Was it East Main? Yes. So you're saying, just paint the picture. I know part of the street is this. That's where you turn off of Stratford Ave. That's the one you're talking about.
No, it's from East Main Street.
Okay.
And it's just a small piece of road that it's a dead end. And it would be, I'm sorry, can you repeat what you were getting?
I'm trying to get my bearings because
Sure.
I drive and go places. I know the town, but I don't know all the towns.
Sure,
So,
of course.
So I'm trying to paint the picture. Like, where exactly am I saying Popeyes? Okay.
Right.
So back that way.
Right, it's right at that entrance to Popeyes and Stop and Shop.
Okay. And we're doing what? Right there on the corner here. So what are we doing there again?
Well, again, a portion of it's already been abandoned. There's been an application for further abandonment. There's a developer that wishes to build certain buildings on there. I believe they want to do a self-storage unit, a Starbucks, and I believe retail space as well.
Panero Bread? Okay, thank you.
Is there any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 9-0. Item 4.4 is Town Attorney's Report.
I have no report this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 5 is unfinished business and/or old business. There are no tabled items, no tabled ordinances or resolutions, no tabled appointments. Item 6 is ordinances and resolutions. Item 6.1 is resolutions and 6.1.1.
Mr. Chair, I move that it be resolved that the bid by VAZ Quality Works be accepted, and the mayor be and is hereby authorized to execute a contract by VAZ Quality Works on the basis of their lowest bid submitted in the amount of $4,883,163.24 for the performance of said work in accordance with the plans and specifications prepared by the Stantec, conditional of the Connecticut Department of Transportation formally authorizing the award of contract and subject to inspection and approval of Stantec, the Connecticut Department of Transportation, and the town engineer.
Hi, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. P. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carries 9-0. Item 7 is new business. We will skip down to 7.1.3, Parks and Recreation Committee alternate member.
Yes, I move that it be resolved that Drew Boddington be and is hereby appointed an alternate member of the Parks and Recreation Committee to the vacant seat expiring December 2019.
I'll second.
Hey, is there any discussion? Just for a point of information, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Pearl, but Mr. O'Brien, excuse me, the person that resigned was a Republican, so we had to replace that person with a Republican.
That is correct.
According to the bylaws of the committee.
Yes.
Hey, is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carries 9-0. Item 8 is adjournment. Motion to adjourn by Mr. O'Brien, second by Mr. Perillo. All those in favor?
Aye.
We win.
What time?
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 9-0. The meeting is adjourned at 8:24 p.m.